Have you ever found yourself caught in the relentless current of modern life? Felt the quiet hum of anxiety beneath the surface of your busiest days? The unexpected setbacks, the overwhelming demands, the persistent whispers of self-doubt that often surface in the quiet of the night. In this fast-paced, often chaotic existence, it's remarkably easy to feel adrift, to lose sight of that steady, unwavering harbor that exists deep within us. But what if there was an ancient compass, a timeless map, forged in the crucible of profound wisdom, capable of guiding us not just through the external storms of the world, but through the intricate landscapes of our own minds and hearts? For centuries, across countless generations and shifting civilizations, a profound philosophy has offered solace, strength, and an unparalleled clarity to those who earnestly seek it. It is not a rigid doctrine nor a fleeting trend, but a philosophy for living, a way of seeing the world and our intricate place within its grand design with an unwavering clarity, a deep sense of purpose, and an undeniable courage. We speak, of course, of Stoicism, and at the very core of its transformative power lies a practice as simple as it is profound: the Stoic Journal. Imagine, if you will, a Roman emperor, the most powerful man in the known world, burdened by the immense, crushing responsibility of an empire teetering on the brink of chaos. Yet amidst this unprecedented external turmoil, he found moments of profound peace, insightful reflection, and undeniable self-mastery. This was Marcus Aurelius, a man of immense power, yes, but more importantly, a man who consistently chose deliberate reflection over impulsive reaction, enduring wisdom over fleeting impulse. His most private thoughts, recorded not for the clamor of public acclaim, but solely for his own intimate guidance, became the timeless masterpiece we revere today as meditations. Marcus Aurelius didn't merely rule an empire. In the truest sense, he ruled himself. And his chosen method for this monumental task, a quiet daily dialogue with his own soul, capturing fleeting insights, unflinchingly confronting his deepest fears, and relentlessly reinforcing the enduring principles that guided his every decision. This wasn't merely the act of writing, it was the sacred art of sculpting the self, patiently chiseling away at imperfections and painstakingly polishing the inner core of his unyielding resilience. Today, in our own uniquely complex lives, the profound wisdom distilled by Marcus Aurelius and the transformative practice of the Stoic Journal are perhaps more urgently relevant than ever before. This path isn't about becoming emotionless, cold, or detached. On the contrary, it is about cultivating a deep, nuanced emotional intelligence. It's not about suppressing the vast spectrum of human feeling, but about mastering our thoughtful responses to them. Ultimately, it's about discovering and nurturing a deep, unshakable calm within, a tranquility that persists and sustains us regardless of the external storms that rage around us. This journey, this profoundly personal path to deep and lasting personal growth begins with nothing more than a single blank page and a single conscious thought. It is an open invitation to pause, to observe with intention, to understand with compassion, and ultimately to transform your entire way of being. Through the quiet, disciplined practice of the Stoic Journal, we gradually learn the liberating wisdom of distinguishing what truly lies within our sphere of control from what does not. We begin to consciously cultivate a profound sense of gratitude, to consistently practice the enduring virtues, and to embrace life's inevitable challenges, not as insurmountable obstacles, but as invaluable opportunities for profound personal growth and deeper understanding. Join us now as we embark on this illuminating journey, delving into the profound depths of Stoicism through the unique and insightful lens of Marcus Aurelius. Prepare to discover how this ancient, time-tested practice can not only illuminate your path forward, but empower your every choice, and ultimately lead you toward a life infused with profound purpose and an enduring, unshakable peace. This is more than just journaling. It is quite simply the very art of living well. This is Stoic Journal, Marcus Aurelius' Path to Personal Growth.
Chapter 2. Why Marcus Wrote. The Private Battle for Integrity. So we ask ourselves, why did an emperor, a man who held the reins of arguably the most formidable empire the world had ever seen, choose to dedicate his precious, limited time to the solitary, seemingly unassuming act of writing in a personal journal? His motivations, we come to understand, were not for the grand stage of history, not for the approving gaze of his subjects, but for a far more intimate and deeply personal struggle, the relentless private battle for his own unwavering integrity. Marcus Aurelius lived a life of unimaginable pressure. While he reigned, devastating plagues swept across his empire, leaving widespread death and despair in their wake. Fierce barbarian invasions threatened its vast borders, demanding his strategic brilliance and unyielding resolve. And within the very heart of his court, treachery, ambition, and political maneuvering simmered, a constant threat to his reign and to his peace of mind. Yet amidst this torrent of external chaos and responsibility, he wrestled with an even more formidable adversary, his own human nature. Like each of us, he grappled with the insidious currents of anger, the subtle erosions of frustration, the ever-present pull of distraction, and the comforting, yet often deceptive, allure of ease. He knew, with absolute certainty, that true power resided not in conquering distant lands, but in the far more challenging, yet ultimately more rewarding act of conquering oneself. His journal, his cherished meditations, was not merely a notebook. It was his spiritual training ground, his philosophical crucible. It was the sacred space where he rigorously interrogated his own thoughts, bravely challenged his impulsive judgments, and relentlessly reminded himself of the enduring principles he aspired to live by every single day. He wrote not to merely record the events of the day, but to profoundly process them through a Stoic lens. He meticulously questioned his every reaction. Was this truly within my sphere of control? What virtue, what moral excellence am I called to embody here? Is this situation intrinsically good or bad? Or is it merely an indifferent thing, made good or bad only by my interpretation? This was the quiet, persistent private battle for integrity, a daily, unwavering commitment to align his every action with his deepest philosophical convictions, with the very essence of reason and virtue. He understood with profound clarity that character, true character, isn't forged in rare, dramatic, grand gestures, but in the countless, quiet, consistent choices of each unfolding moment. His journal was simultaneously the unflinching mirror reflecting his daily progress and the meticulously drawn blueprint for his next steps toward becoming the most virtuous, most resilient person he knew he could be. It was his sanctuary for self-correction, his quiet confessional for accountability, his unwavering compass, guiding him toward the highest virtues. And for us, navigating the complexities of modern life, the battle for integrity is just as intensely real, though perhaps it manifests on different, more contemporary fronts. The seductive allure of instant gratification, the clamor for external validation from social media, the constant, pervasive pull of digital distraction. These are our own contemporary barbarians at the gates of our inner peace and genuine self-worth. Marcus Aurelius's deeply private act of journaling offers a potent, timeless solution, a dedicated, sacred space to fortify our own integrity, to consciously and consistently choose profound purpose over fleeting impulse, and to diligently build a character that stands firm, unyielding, and true amidst the relentless currents of modern life. He wrote to consistently strive for betterment, and through his luminous example, we too can find the profound courage to forge our own unique paths to lasting self-mastery.
Chapter 3. Stillness Before Sunrise. Rituals of Reflection. Marcus Aurelius, like so many of the profound Stoic thinkers before and after him, understood with absolute clarity the immense, transformative power of the morning. While our own modern rhythms often compel us to rush headlong into our days, immediately bombarded by the insistent pings of notifications and the mounting weight of external demands, the emperor embraced something different. He embraced the quiet, sacred dignity of the dawn. This, for him, was his consecrated time, a period of profound stillness before the world awoke, dedicated with unwavering discipline to deep reflection and meticulous internal preparation. Imagine him now, perhaps by the flickering lamplight in a cold, austere military tent on the frontier, or within the hushed sanctity of a quiet chamber in the imperial palace, his pen poised over parchment as the very first faint hints of light began to caress the distant horizon. He was not in those sacred moments reviewing battle plans or weighing decrees of state. No, he was performing a far more vital task. He was preparing his mind. He was fortifying his inner world against the day's inevitable tests, the sudden frustrations, the sharp criticisms, the fleeting pleasures, and the ever-present temptations that sought to pull him away from reason. This was not a ritual of rigidity, not about strict adherence to a clock. It was about orientation. It was about posture, the posture of the soul. He would, with quiet persistence, remind himself of the Stoic truths etched into the foundation of his life. That time is fleeting, that life is short, that everything we hold is borrowed, that only virtue remains truly ours. He would recall the shared dignity of all human beings, even those who would test his patience, even those who would betray him, even those who would never thank him. He would rehearse the challenges ahead, not to stir up anxiety, but to prepare his spirit. He would visualize insults without injury, obstacles without despair, disorder without dismay. This the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It was not pessimism, it was not fear, it was wisdom, it was readiness, it was inner power. When you arise in the morning, he wrote to himself, Think what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. These were not empty words. They were an offering. They were a ritual of gratitude, of perspective, of intention. And this morning practice, this quiet inward preparation, was not just for emperors. It is for all of us. In a world where alarms jolt us awake, where screens claim our eyes before we even speak to another soul, there is still room, perhaps now more than ever, for this return to this sacred stillness. Before the emails, before the news, before the waves of noise, can we sit for just a moment with ourselves? Even 5 minutes, even 2. A breath, a thought, a sentence scribbled in a notebook, not for the world, but for your own soul. You do not need incense. You do not need silence. You do not need perfection. You need only the willingness to greet the morning, not with haste, but with purpose. To ask yourself, what will I stand for today? What will I let go of? What might challenge me? And how will I respond, not react? The stillness before sunrise is not about the hour on the clock. It is about the direction of the heart. And in that space, before the momentum of the world takes over, you have the chance to meet yourself, to fortify your reason, to anchor your intentions, to remind yourself what kind of person you are truly striving to become. For Marcus, this moment was not a luxury, it was a necessity. It was the fuel for the battles he could not predict, the inner clarity for the fog he knew would descend. So too for us, this ritual, this pause, this return to the self can become the most powerful decision we make all day. Because the world will test us, but only we decide whether we meet it as scattered fragments or as whole beings rooted in principle, driven by purpose, and guided by the still unshakable strength of our own soul. Chapter 4. Turning Pain into Wisdom. Journaling through chaos. Life, in all its fierce, unrelenting honesty, is not a smooth ascent. It is not a golden stairway to ease and comfort. It is a storm, a tapestry of calm skies and sudden winds, woven with threads of both beauty and grief. And Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, the Stoic among storms, knew this more intimately than most. He lived through plague. He buried children. He faced betrayal, not from distant enemies, but from men who once knelt beside him. He reigned in the kind of chaos that would drive many to madness or to silence. But he chose the pen. He chose the page. He chose the courage to transmute agony into understanding and sorrow into strength. His meditations were not written for acclaim. They were not polished prose for public admiration. They were private, raw, unfiltered. They were written often in the dark, often in the cold, sometimes in the aftermath of loss or in the quiet before another unwanted battle. But they were always honest. He did not merely endure suffering. He studied it. He wrestled with it line by line. He dissected it with the precision of a philosopher and the weariness of a man who had felt too much but refused to be ruled by it. The art of living, he wrote, is more like wrestling than dancing. Not smooth, not delicate, but brutal, demanding, full of sudden impact and unexpected resistance. And yet, he returned to the journal again and again, not to escape the pain, but to meet it, to face it, to ask it, "What are you here to teach me?" This is the Stoic way, not to pretend that pain is not real, but to challenge it, to probe it, to use it. When the world shakes, when disappointment strikes, when anxiety claws at your chest, what will you do? You could run, you could numb, you could collapse. Or you could write. You could pick up the pen and enter the arena of your own soul. You could make the page your battleground. You could pour out your grief, your confusion, your bitterness, not to wallow in it, but to work through it. This is what Marcus did. He challenged his own thinking. He searched for clarity in the smoke. He turned his journal into a forge, a place where pain was melted down and reforged into principle. He questioned his fears. He examined his losses. He reminded himself daily that what happens outside him is not who he is. And in doing so, he found peace. Not a peace free from suffering, but a peace that no suffering could take. So what of us? We too will be tested, not as emperors perhaps, but as human beings, fathers, daughters, artists, leaders, lovers. We will lose. We will grieve. We will fail. We will ache in ways we never expected. But like Marcus, we can meet that pain on the page. We can take the chaotic, jagged thoughts and slowly, word by word, bring them into order. We can see the lies we've told ourselves. We can catch the thoughts that weaken us. We can uncover the strength that was buried beneath the debris. In your journal, you are not pretending to be strong. You are becoming strong. Not all at once, not perfectly, but day by day, line by line, thought by thought. And over time, you will see what Marcus saw, that suffering is not just something to survive, but something that can sculpt you. That pain, when faced with reason, can become wisdom. And that wisdom, once earned, can never be taken from you. So when chaos comes, as it will, do not turn away. Turn inward. Pick up the pen. Ask the hard questions and write through the storm. And from that storm, you may walk out, not as someone broken, but as someone refined. Like gold in the fire, like stone made smooth by the tide, like a soul that has suffered and come out shining.
Chapter 5, Conquering the Self, Discipline on the Page. The Stoic path, at its core, is the path of self-mastery. Not the mastery of empires, not the conquest of nations, but the far greater battle to rule over one's own impulses. And Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the known world, understood this truth with piercing clarity. He had legions at his command. He held sway over cities, laws, and courts. He could reshape the map with a single word. But none of it mattered if he could not command himself. And so he turned daily to the page, not as a king, but as a humble student of his own soul. Each morning, he faced the same enemy we all do: distraction, indulgence, temptation, the lazy drift of comfort. But unlike most, he did not flinch. He met these enemies head-on with ink and discipline. He wrote not to impress, but to realign, not to record perfection, but to correct his course. His journal was a battlefield,
a quiet war against procrastination, against anger, against the subtle seduction of an easy life. Choose not to be harmed, he wrote, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. This was not denial, it was dominion. It was the disciplined choice to remain sovereign over his judgments. Every entry was a mirror, reflecting back his flaws and his triumphs. When he felt impatience rising, he named it. When pride crept in, he struck it down. When weakness whispered sweetly, he answered with reason and resolve. This is the heart of discipline, not found in a single moment of willpower, but in thousands of tiny battles fought in silence. And what about you? You may not wear a crown, but the war is the same. You wrestle with hesitation, with cravings, with the voice that says, "Do it tomorrow." But you have a weapon, your journal. In it, you make your declarations, you draw the line, you remember your promises. Did you vow to be patient? Let the page remind you. Did you fall short today? Let the page forgive, but also instruct. Write it down, not for perfection, but for progress, not to boast, but to become. The journal becomes your lighthouse, guiding you back when the winds of distraction pull you off course. It is not glamorous, it is not quick, but it is sacred work. To sit with your weaknesses, to confront them without excuse, to map out with clarity the habits you must break and the virtues you must build. This is how the self is conquered, not with one loud declaration, but with a quiet rhythm, one honest page, one clear intention, one better decision at a time. Over time, those pages pile up, each one a stone in the foundation of a stronger, calmer, wiser you. And eventually, you become the architect of your own character, a soul trained in discipline, a mind sharpened by truth, a heart unmoved by chaos. This is the Stoic's reward, not applause, not glory, but integrity, peace, and the unshakable strength of one who has conquered what matters most, themselves.
Chapter 6. Journaling as Armor. Building Emotional Fortitude. In a world that shifts without warning, where tempests rise from quiet skies, and peace is stolen in the span of a single word or glance, we are left with a question. Where do we anchor our calm? Where does the Stoic build shelter when the world rages without mercy? For Marcus Aurelius, the answer was never out there, never in the palace gates, nor in the loyalty of friends, nor in the quiet of a peaceful empire. It was within the lines he wrote each morning, within the silence he carved out to reflect and to reframe. His journal was his armor. Not armor to shut out emotion, but to keep him from being ruled by it. Not to become numb, but to become unbreakable. Because life wounds us. It always does. The harsh word, the betrayal, the bitter disappointment, the loss we didn't see coming. Without discipline, those wounds fester. They define us. They control us. But Marcus, he met those wounds with wisdom, with reason, with perspective. If you are pained by any external thing, he wrote, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it. And this this judgment, this interpretation of pain is within your control. Every time he put pen to page, he was crafting that control. He was sharpening his mind to see clearly. This insult, not mine to carry. This misfortune, outside my command. This discomfort, temporary. But my character, that is eternal. So too must we write, not only to remember, but to rehearse, to prepare. Your journal is your armory, your forge. Each page, a new layer of protection against the chaos of the world. When you write in the morning, you are not just planning the day, you are stepping into your strength. You remind yourself, there will be traffic, there will be difficult people, there may be grief, there may be failure, but they are not you. They are not inside you unless you let them in. This is journaling as emotional preparation, not for a perfect day, but for an imperfect one where you remain unshaken. And in the evening, you return. You inspect your armor. Did something pierce you today? A comment? A failure? Did you let anxiety slip past your guard? Good. Write it down. Examine it, not to dwell, but to understand. Where did it get in? What thought allowed it? What judgment betrayed your peace? And then reframe it. Reinforce your boundary. Strengthen your inner wall. That is Stoic journaling. Not a record of what happened, but a reconstruction of how you faced it. A refinement of how you will respond tomorrow. Because this armor is not cold steel. It is warm insight. It is resilient compassion. It is truth. This armor allows you to feel, to grieve, to hope, to ache, but never to break, never to be owned by anger or swallowed by fear. You can stand where others collapse. You can breathe deeply where others panic. You can move forward when others recoil. Why? Because you have written, you have seen, you have prepared, and most of all, you have chosen peace. That is the Stoic path. That is your shield. And your journal, your quiet companion, is how you wear it.
Chapter 7. Timelessness on Paper, Eternal Lessons from a Mortal Man. We walk briefly on this earth, a breath, a heartbeat, and then we vanish, like morning mist retreating from the sun. But there are voices, faint yet enduring, that echo across centuries. They do not shout, but they are never silenced. Marcus Aurelius was a man like any other, with doubts, with burdens, with a heart that longed for meaning in the whirlwind of duty. He did not seek to be remembered. He did not write for the world. He wrote for himself, quietly, in solitude, to make sense of the chaos within and around him. And yet, his words became immortal, not because he was emperor, but because he was honest. Brutally, tenderly, consistently honest. His meditations were never meant to be read, but they endure because they are true. They speak of death and love and pain and virtue, not with pretense, but with the naked simplicity of a man wrestling with life. And in doing so, he captured something rare: timelessness. Imagine those pages, weathered by time, carried across burning libraries, hidden in monasteries, rediscovered by seekers centuries apart, each one finding in his private words a mirror
to their own soul. That is the quiet miracle of writing with depth. That is what it means to write beyond the moment. And so too, when you write in your Stoic journal, when you put down your frustrations, your reflections, your small victories, and your silent hopes, you are not merely capturing time, you are transcending it. You are leaving markers, breadcrumbs of the self that will guide the future you back to clarity when storms come again. You are not just journaling, you are planting truth in soil that may bloom for years to come. Each entry is a seed, each page a step toward wisdom. One day, you will reread your own words, and they will seem wiser than when you wrote them, because they came from a deeper place, a place of courage, a place of care. That is your personal immortality. Not fame, not applause, but growth, truth, a life examined. When you write, you are not performing, you are preserving. You are affirming that your life matters enough to be understood, and that your lessons deserve to live longer than your pain. This is what Marcus left us, not statues, but sentences, not triumphs, but truths. And you too can do the same. You are not required to be known, only to be present, only to be sincere, only to write with the intention of becoming a little more whole with every word. Because what you write today may be what saves you tomorrow. And when all else fades, your journal remains, a lighthouse built from your own wisdom, shining back at you when the night is darkest.
Chapter 8. Daily Growth. The Stoics' Inner Garden. True personal growth does not arrive with thunderclaps. It does not come in grand revelations or sudden awakenings. No, it whispers. It arrives slowly, quietly, like dawn stretching across a sleeping field. It is not a firework, but a garden. And the Stoic, if he is sincere, tends to this garden daily. Marcus Aurelius understood this. Though he wore the robes of empire, he knew his greatest duty was not to Rome, but to the soil of his own soul. The mind, he believed, is sacred ground. Left unattended, it becomes overrun with weeds of anger, fear, self-pity, and indulgence. But nurtured with care, with discipline, with daily intention, it blossoms into a sanctuary of wisdom and peace. This is the work of the Stoic journal, not as decoration, but as tool. It is your spade, your watering can, your pruning knife. With it, you till the soil of your mind each morning. You rise, open the page, and ask, "What will I plant today? Will I sow courage in the face of fear? Will I scatter seeds of kindness where resentment once grew? Will I water my patience or uproot the envy trying to take root?" This is not metaphor, it is method. It is the quiet daily act of becoming. And when the day ends, you return again, not to punish yourself for imperfection, but to walk through the garden and see what grew. Did you act with justice when provoked? Did the flower of self-restraint bloom where once there was outburst? Or did weeds creep in? The creeping vine of complaint, the thorn of distraction? You do not shame yourself. You take note. You understand. You prepare to plant again tomorrow. Because that is what real growth is, not a destination, but a rhythm. A gardener does not curse the soil when weeds appear. He removes them, and so do you. This is your power, not to be perfect, but to be persistent, to show up, to tend your inner garden with gentleness, with clarity, and with purpose.
Marcus Aurelius did not write because he had arrived. He wrote because he was still becoming. And through that daily becoming, he forged a life of meaning. So too can you. With every entry in your journal, you choose to grow. You choose to clear what no longer serves. You choose to nourish the roots of the person you were born to be. And one day, when the storms come, as they always do, you will find shelter in the sturdy, living soul you have so patiently cultivated. You will have a garden within that no force can destroy. Not because it was perfect, but because it was loved and tended to and made resilient by your daily devotion to the Stoic path.
Chapter 9. How to start your own Stoic journal today. The ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius is not sealed away in dusty scrolls. It is not locked behind the gates of academia. It is not reserved for emperors, philosophers, or sages. It is here, waiting, living, breathing in this moment. And it begins with one brave, quiet choice: to write. To begin your own Stoic journal is not to chase a relic from history. It is to forge a mirror for the soul, a compass for the day, a sanctuary for truth. It begins not with fanfare, but with humility. You need no elaborate tools, no ceremonial desk or sacred ink. You need only something to write with and the courage to face yourself. A simple notebook, a blank page on a screen, a notes app on your phone. Choose what is easy. Choose what removes excuses. Complexity kills momentum. Simplicity builds discipline. Then begin with structure. Not rules, but rhythm. Not rigidity, but routine. Morning. Before the noise of the world floods your mind, before obligations pull you in every direction, take a moment, just 5 or 10 minutes, to prepare the soil of your soul. Ask yourself, what challenges may arise today, and how will I meet them with strength and virtue? Which Stoic virtue will I embody today? Patience? Courage? Humility? What is within my control, and what must I let go of? What am I already grateful for in this quiet hour? Let these questions anchor you. Let them set your course. Like Marcus, begin with intention so that you do not drift, but steer. Then live. Move through your day, not perfectly, but consciously. Not flawlessly, but intentionally. And when the sun has set, when the noise has quieted, return. Evening. Not to judge yourself, but to learn. Not to shame, but to refine. Ask again. Where did I act in alignment with my values? Where did I falter? Did I let the outer world disturb my inner peace? If so, why? What truths did I uncover about myself today? What beauty did I notice? What am I grateful for? What might I do differently tomorrow? This is how clarity grows. This is how self-awareness deepens. This is how character is shaped, not in grand declarations, but in quiet evenings of reflection. One page at a time. One day at a time. Over weeks and months, you will begin to see it, the soft but undeniable transformation. You will look back and meet your past self on the page, not with judgment, but with respect. Because you showed up, because you tried, because you dared to live with intention when the world begged you to drift. This journal will become your record, your refuge, your proof that progress is possible even in chaos. So do not wait for the perfect moment. There is none. Do not wait to become wise.
Journaling is the path to wisdom. Do not wait to feel ready. Courage begins before readiness. Pick up the pen, face the page, and begin. You are not just writing, you are becoming.
Chapter 10. Conclusion. The pages that will outlive you. We have walked together through the quiet corridors of Stoic thought, through the discipline of the morning mind, the candor of evening reflections, the fire of struggle, and the stillness of acceptance. We have stood beside Marcus Aurelius, not in his palace, but in the solitude of his thoughts, not amidst his armies, but in the battleground of his soul. We've watched him wrestle not with enemies, but with temptation, distraction, ego, and fear. And from that sacred wrestling, we have learned. We have seen the journal not as a diary, but as a forge, where the raw iron of experience is heated, hammered, and shaped into character. Not a relic of the past, but a tool for today. A refuge, a weapon, a mirror, a mentor, a legacy. And now, as this journey nears its final turn, one truth echoes above the rest. Your journal will outlive you. Not because the world may read it, not because it will gather dust on a shelf or be printed in leather, but because it has changed you. And what changes you changes the world you touch. Marcus did not write to be remembered. He wrote to remember himself, to return to his values, to realign with reason, to rise again when he faltered. Yet centuries later, his quiet words still speak, still comfort, still awaken. His meditations were not meant for us, but they found us, because truth endures, because integrity echoes, because a life well examined leaves footprints in eternity. So consider your own pages, the word you write in solitude, the questions you ask in the dark, the virtues you chase in silence. These are not small things. They are the architecture of your soul. They are the evidence of your courage. They are the sacred record of a life lived on purpose. You may never lead an empire, but you are the ruler of your own mind. And this inner kingdom requires governance, patience, reflection, resolve. The world may offer distraction. The noise may never end, but your journal will always wait, a quiet companion, a place to return, a place to rebuild. And if one day those pages are read by a child, a friend, a stranger, they will not find perfection. They will find you, flawed but honest, failing but striving, falling but always rising again. And that is the most human story of all, the only story that ever truly matters. So write not for applause, write not for permanence, write because it clarifies your mind, because it purifies your judgment, because it humbles your ego, and because it strengthens your soul. These pages, they are not just ink and paper. They are a declaration, a defiance of mediocrity, a map back to yourself. Let them hold your fears. Let them carry your hopes. Let them guard your intentions. Let them celebrate your growth. One word at a time, one entry at a time, one honest moment at a time. In the end, the pages may fade, but the person you become because of them will not. And that is your true legacy. So begin, return, Continue. The Stoic path is not loud, but it is enduring, and the pages you fill today will echo long after you're gone. Let them echo with truth. Let them echo with strength. Let them echo with you. The truest legacy is not carved in monuments or shouted into the world. It is written quietly in the margins of our daily choices, in the pages we fill with truth, and in the soul we shape through reflection. If this message stirred something in you, a memory, a calling, a reminder of who you are meant to become, then don't let it fade with the closing credits. Take a moment right now to ask yourself, what is one truth I've avoided that I now need to face? What seed of wisdom can I plant today in the journal of my life? And what kind of legacy am I truly living toward? Start your Stoic journal today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Because your inner peace cannot wait, and your story deserves to be lived deliberately. Leave a comment below with the one Stoic insight from this video that spoke loudest to you. Let others witness your reflection and begin their own. Subscribe if you're ready to commit to this lifelong journey of self-mastery. Your journal, your journey, your legacy. This is where it begins.